you. Uh-huh.
In today's episode of Deal Disruptors, we're joined by Kevin Wilson, a leadership expert with over 25 years of business development, mentoring, and the founder of K5 Consulting and Vistage Chair. How are you, Kevin?
I'm doing great, Ella. How are you?
I'm doing really well. For people that are unfamiliar with Vistage, what sets your platform apart as far as executive growth?
I would say several things. The organization was founded 66 years ago by a business owner who realized that he needed the input and support of his peers as opposed to a single coach or a business coach, a friend, a spouse. He just realized that by leaning into other people with the same responsibilities at the same level, and some companies bigger, some companies smaller, that they would be able to support each other and challenge each other, but do it professionally. One of the things we like to say is we not only answer your questions, we question your answers.
I love that.
And so it really provides an opportunity for people to get that real feedback without worrying about agendas, without worrying about having a bunch of yes people answering to you. And Vistage has created a very unique process for discussing and getting to the root cause of what we call issue or growth processing. And it's a funnel approach, and it works really, really well. There are over 45,000 members in Vistage across the country. People like me, I like to joke that, people like me who are no longer hireable or don't ever want to work for anyone again are great candidates for working to build a group within Vistage. Most people are former CEOs or business owners or coaches. I was a CPA for many years, 12 years in public accounting, and most people wouldn't think of me as a gregarious business coach, group leader. Maybe that's why I left public accounting. But the Vistage model just does a great job of creating a peer group environment where people trust each other, where people can really just share whatever it is that they're struggling with, and know that the people in the room are going to be judgment free. And I said earlier there's no agenda, but I guess technically there is one agenda, and that is, how do we help this person? And one of my favorite things about it is, after we've processed someone's issue, we'll go around and say, raise your hand if you got something out of this, by listening to the questions this person was asked and the advice that they got. Half the room always raises their hands, if not more.
And how does these kind of like coaching sessions, how do they look?
You have a room of, in this case, CEOs, business owners, company presidents. And I will mention we have other types of group as well, but this is the key group. And so you bring these people together. You have to have at least 8 to launch a group. Vistage doesn't typically allow more than 20 in a group, because then it gets too big and a little unwieldy, because we spend an entire day together once a month. 6 times a year, we bring in speakers that Vistage is vetted, who also get vetted after every presentation. All the members have get an email, please rate your speaker. So it's a continuous process of ensuring that we have top-notch speakers who are doing a really good job. So imagine a day with a speaker who comes in and does 2.5 to 3 hours, deep dive, including workshopping, breakouts, where they're entrusted to transfer their knowledge to the business owner so they can go back the next day and start using it. If one of the business owner wants to hire that person to come in and manage something like that, that's great. But ideally, it's we are going to provide you additional information you're not getting anywhere else. Most of these speakers would probably charge $10,000 to $20,000 a day to go to a company and give this same presentation. On the days we don't have a speaker, it's called a full day executive session. We start out with a check-in. We have a whiteboard, and people put in a 1 to 10 on how they're doing in their business, their personal life, and health.
Love it.
And then there's a line for them to write a note if there's something they want to discuss with the group. And then they categorize it A, B, or C priority. And we walk through that. And some groups do it a little bit differently because we're all independent. We can do it how we want to. But the main emphasis is we want people to understand as much about their peers in this group as possible. And one way to do that is every meeting, we want to know where you are. How's your business? How's your personal life? How is your health? Do you need any support in those areas? Do we need to process an issue around why your health is a 2, why your personal is a 3, why your business is a 4? In that way, the more we do that, the more people get to know each other. And at every meeting, one of the members does a host presentation, 45 minutes about their business and themselves. And we ask them, we give them a whole bunch of information they can talk about, and we say, pick out of this list what you think would be the best information for your peers to know about you. And I think what's key to me is you've got a room full of people. Sometimes it's all men, sometimes it's all women, sometimes it's mostly one or the other, sometimes there are one ethnicity in the room, sometimes there's multiple ethnicities, sometimes there's a room full of one type of people with a particular religious perspective, and sometimes it's all mixed up. It just depends on who comes together based on the chair, that's our title, based on the chair's efforts to recruit people. I have a group with a partner. We have 19 members, and I would say we have a very diversified group. And one of the things about diversity to me is that I don't think it's talked about enough is the diversity within a person based on all their life experiences. Who raised them, how they were raised, what their siblings were like, and the effects that those siblings had on them. The things that happened to them in grade school, middle school, high school, college, or what if they didn't go to college and went straight into a trade?
100%. It all shapes you.
Yes. What is your path to leadership? What is your path to how you problem solve? I've taught my kids, one saying that I've taught my kids over and over and over, which eventually they use against me, is that perception is reality, regardless of what is real. So I want people in the room who perceive things differently than I do, and then I want to understand why they see it that way.
So powerful, getting into someone else's perspective.
Yes.
And I'm curious, you've led networking groups for over 25 years, including a CFO peer group and an M&A forum. In those experiences, what are some of the insights that you've really taken away from being able to create these powerful communities?
I would say that the first thing that comes to mind is a local, what I think is a local phenomenon in the DFW, Dallas-Fort Worth market. This market is full of people who truly want to help other people without expecting anything in return. I could tell some stories, but we probably don't have time for those. It is amazing how people will see what they can do to help the other person and never say, oh, by the way, you owe me something too. I think it is key to teach people when it comes to networking that there are multiple ways that a group can be effective and valuable for you. The most obvious way is you go to your first meeting, you get to tell everybody what you do, and half the room says, oh my gosh, I need what you do. That's rare, but it could happen. Secondly, you go into the room and you need what someone in the room, your company needs what someone in the room does. I mean, that brings value. Third, your clients or your group mate clients need what you do, or your clients need what they do. And one thing that not many people think of is that outside of our business life, we have all these people in our circle of influence that most people don't think of when they're in their business mode.
Mm.
But I try to teach people that when you're out meeting others who do things, don't just think about your business contacts. Think about the people you know at the gym. Think about your in-laws, your brother-in-law, your sister-in-law, your brother, your sister. Think about your neighbors. Many times I'll send a text or make a phone call to somebody that I've met, one of my kids' friends' parents. There's a guy here from Australia, moved here, got married. He has 2 businesses in Australia that his kids run, and he's working to get into the commercial real estate. I find that out, so I start making introductions for him.
Nice. So you're a super connector.
I try to be.
And how is there anything that you do? I think super connectors is one of the most powerful things to be able to deploy, because you give, and then all of a sudden it all just comes back tenfold. And I think it's really interesting. I've now been doing like a bit of a spreadsheet everywhere I go. I'm making little notes about people. Is there any kind of things that you have in your toolbox that keeps you keep track of your wide web?
I hate to say this since this is being recorded, but no.
Wow. So
But
you
that's what I teach. For years, I have taught younger people in their careers. I just did it this week. Someone I was meeting with, I said, one of the key things you need to do is, I don't care if it's a spreadsheet, I don't care if it's some app I don't know about.
Notion. It's Notion, if anyone's listening. That's the app that honestly, Notion or Airtable, I find it's incredible for.
There you go. So input everyone that you meet, categorize them, put notes. Now, I started years and years ago because I don't have a great recall function. I can see their face. I'll know what they do, but I won't remember the company. I'll know what college they went to. I'll know these unique facts about them, but I won't know their name or who they work for. So whenever I meet someone and put them in my phone, I go to the notes section and I put in keywords. What university they went to, if they said they had a dog, if they said they liked skiing, if they said anything any identifier. Because 2 years down the road, I'll be like, oh my gosh, who was that person? I can see their face. I can't remember their name. And I'll be, oh yeah, and I'll go to my phone, I'll type in OU, Oklahoma University, or in your case, Australia. And everyone with that word in there will pop up and I'll figure out who it was.
Yeah, that's a good strategy. I would say we need to get you an assistant to lay that all out in Notion for you so you can have it all organized.
It's funny you say that. I'm in the process of hiring a virtual assistant.
They're a godsend. If you don't have one, you need to invest in one, because I couldn't live without mine now.
Nice.
She's my best friend. She knows everything about me. So with K5 Consulting, it focuses on providing outsider perspectives to CEOs and business owners. Can you share an example where this external viewpoint led to a breakthrough?
I think some of the best examples are from the Vistage group that I co-chair with my partner. When I'm, and I'm going to give a little bit of background, when I'm talking to potential members or prospective members for being in the Vistage group, I am listening for 4 things. 3 of them I can tell, and 1 of them I end up having to ask. I'm always looking for people who are lifelong learners, open to outsider perspective, willing to be vulnerable. In other words, willing to, hey, I need help with this.
Yeah.
And the last one that doesn't always come out in conversation, but is extremely key, maybe the most key, is, are you willing to invest in yourself?
Boom.
As a business owner, you require your people to keep up their certifications. You require them to get new ones. You ask them to stay up on current trends in the economy or in your business segment. But you're so busy running your business, and because you're really good at that, and that's why you started this business owners sometimes neglect that piece. And it's just so impactful if they will continue their journey of leadership, communication, retention capabilities.
100%.
Yeah. So in our group, we, for instance, we had one of our members who said, um, I just want a big contract that will almost double the revenue of my company. I'm not asking for help on whether or not I should take the contract because I'm going to.
You'd be crazy not to.
Right. But I need to know, are there any pitfalls I need to look for? Are there any hurdles that I don't see on the track ahead of me? Are there any potholes
Mm.
when it's dark outside that I should be looking for?
I think that's such an incredible question because when you have such a great opportunity, sometimes we forget to actually look at what is 10 steps ahead. What are things that I need to actually account for with that volume? Or, whether it's a legality standpoint. And I think you're right. Having those CEOs or those execs to be able to lean on that have been there and done it, that's it's invaluable.
Absolutely. I agree, Ella. And it's so awesome to watch these people um, opening up, sharing their knowledge. Because, like we talked about earlier, someone around the room has seen things that you haven't
Yeah.
that could benefit you. We had one of our members that had an officer level person that wasn't doing their job, but this person didn't know what to do in order to make that decision to,
Mm.
tell them to leave or fix themselves or leave. So he brought it to the group. And he processed that as an issue, which is different than that last example. When we process an issue, we do a deep dive into that because
Mm.
the majority of the time, the issue they state is a symptom,
Yes.
not the core issue. So we
Mm.
have an incredible process for helping to get to the core issue, if that's what's necessary. And this person made the decision to not only get rid of that person, but another person. Once they were able to be questioned about what's going on, get a lot of clarifying questions asked, and then they get the advice and the experience share and suggestions from their peers. And my partner and I participate as well. Now, I've been a CPA, I've been blue collar, I've worked in a steel mill, a machine shop, I was a fast food restaurant manager for 8 years. Then I became a CPA. I've been certified for wealth management, and I've done business development pretty much all that time. So I have I'm a generalist.
Mm.
My partner grew up in Tyler, Texas, and his family had the 5-generation daily newspaper company, and he was the CEO and sold it. And so he grew up in a family business, and we have several family businesses in our group.
Mm.
He worked his way up to CEO, and then, as we all know, the daily newspaper took a dive in the 2000s. But he stayed there, and one of the things I really respect about Nelson is he told me that when he took over, they had 135-ish employees. When he sold the business, they had about 40. He talked to every person he had to let go. He personally talked to every person he had to let go. There aren't a lot of CEOs that would do that, especially, I mean, that's a small company, but for Tyler, Texas, it was not a small company.
Yeah.
Uh,
That would have been so hard.
yes,
That's as a business owner, that's your worst nightmare.
absolutely.
Mm.
But so he and I bring different things to the table.
Yeah.
And one thing that's really important to know is we don't all need to agree.
So true.
Vistage coined a word, carefrontational. It's okay to confront someone, but do it with care.
Yeah.
Do it with
Agreed.
their best interest in mind.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And I want to know, as like a final question, do you have any kind of sayings that you currently live by?
How much time do we have?
Mm-hmm.
I've already said one. It's perception is reality, regardless of what is real. There are just thousands and thousands of examples. Another one is it's more important to know what you don't know.
I love that. And I feel like that is some of the barriers, I think, when getting into entrepreneurship is there's a lot of things that you don't know, and you have to find these mentorships and these community groups so that you don't feel so alone. I literally had a moment this morning where I was like, no one gets it. I'm going through this alone. I'm so lucky that I have such an incredible co-founder, Jesse, who you'll meet on Monday. But I thank my lucky stars for him all the time because I did it once before and I exited my company by myself and I swore I was like, I don't want to go through that again. It's just,
Yeah. I have a lot of respect for people like you who do this because I grew up without much.
mm,
And so I was the first person in my family to go to college. And the reason I went to college was not to pursue a passion. It was not because I had some driving need to do something in particular and change the world. I just didn't want to be poor anymore.
yeah.
But so I've never had the risk profile to bet everything, to go out and potentially fail and have to start over. I really have a lot of respect for business owners. That's one of the reasons I'm so passionate about helping them. I learned a new saying this week, which I'm adding to my repertoire,
Okay.
and that is that if they mind, or those who mind don't matter, those who matter don't mind.
It's so accurate. Kevin, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. And I'm excited to get to know you more at our Dallas Private Capital Happy Hour.
And I'm looking forward to that too. I have a few people coming, and I can't wait to meet everybody else. And thank you for having me.
Anytime.
Yeah. Uh-huh.